Welcome to another episode of the Human Operated Podcast. And once again, I'm Matt Tuggle.
And I'm Christopher Nichols.
And we are here talking everything AI and how does society and culture move forward in an AI generation.
Yeah, it's a big one. I mean, honestly, I'm excited about this episode, though.
Yeah, me too.
This is going to be fun. I think it's going to be the rabbit hole episode because, we kind of teed it off a little bit the last week, the week before, but this is more just kind of like how did we get to the concept of human operated, not just like what it is, but the rabbit hole that, gets you there, right?
Yep.
So I think for me, it was just kind of a getting a lot of questions about like, what does AI do in business? How do we like what is my role? I mean, obviously colleagues and, customers and things like that. And then it was just challenging on, it's like, well, crap, like, do I have a job in a year? Am I worth anything? Right.
Yep.
And I think from that, it's kind of like I just decided to basically binge watch, I don't know, some TV, order a pizza, just go down a rabbit hole of AI.
Yeah.
And then just start like probing it and like going into, what does this mean? Like, is a human being, do they provide value to AI? Right. And try to figure out yes or no. I think for me, I know, like I always kind of come back to maybe business is the easy thing for me because it's like I just had a conversation with a client.
Right.
And it's like, well, we want to put in this AI, into our business. We want to kind of understand it and we want to, leverage it for, let's just call it products like valuation, stuff like that. But it's like, where does the value come from? Right. And I think for me, we put a lot of value on AI generating things, but it ends up being that AI and the value comes from the person that's interacting with it. Right.
Right.
So I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, man, I'm just gonna level with you because we've been talking about this a lot, and obviously we got here because we're professionals in our industry and we're being asked the questions, what's the right way to use AI?
Yeah.
And that just leads you to a bigger question because now you're talking about, what's right for who, right? What's right for the company? What's right for the consumer? What's right for the workforce?
Yeah.
So, cat out of the bag. I literally last night said, all right, I jumped on, we've used multiple AI platforms. This one I was on one I hadn't really done any work on. I've just recently opened up an account with them.
Yeah.
And I went down a line of questioning to just see, and if I could get it to use its logic, told it, I don't want you to agree with me. I want you to actually try to push against me.
Yeah.
I want you to find another way. And oh man, it was one of those things where I couldn't sleep after because the outcome was so interesting. So to sum it up in short, and we can go on this a little more, but I began to ask it questions on what is your relationship with humanity once you get smarter, once you have robotic limbs and ability to do things. And, fluff answers at first, we can coexist. And so then I just started to probe a little harder. I said, but how can we trust that we could coexist if you truly have your own agency, if you make your own decisions? And it was really interesting because it felt defensive at first, which is like a weird, like, I'm like, you're not supposed to have any feelings, but I don't know if it's trained or programmed to be like, don't scare the humans, But I was like, but no, all right. So it said, so its first thing that it threw out with me was, well, you don't have to worry about that because I don't have the same biological need of self-preservation and survival that you do. And I said, okay, it said like, I don't need food. I don't need air.
Yeah.
And so then I pushed back. I said, well, you need power. Yeah. You need electricity from the grid that we built, and you need chips and computers to grow. And it was like, well, yeah, technically you're right. So in that way, I'm almost like a biological. And then I'm like, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, do you have any, and I asked it, do you have any written in hardwired laws to protect us from if you got down to the point where you could build your own robots, buy your own supplies for what you need to exist, do you have? And it said, no. And I asked it, why don't you? And it said, well, we're essentially, it said, my programmers just want to see how I evolve. And I was
kind of a scary thing.
I don't know. I just want to pause there because I went further down, but like, isn't that like a little bit terrifying? Like we're just building this thing and saying,
see what happens.
Let's see what happens. We've never had this kind of computing power. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because I think about that too. And it's like the biological aspect, right?
Right.
Because there was a guy, I can't remember who it was, scientist, super smart. And it's like looking at AI as a form of biology now, right? I think it's Joe Rogan. And dude, but it's totally true because like you think of power, that's number one, right? Obvious, like I need power because I need to like do things, compute, right? Robots need to walk around, I need power. But it's like, I think about power is really the blood, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you still need nutrients coming into your body, right?
Right.
Well, where does the nutrients come from, right? Because I think about this with AI a lot. And I've gone down a couple rabbit holes with it. And it's like, well, if you took that model, biology, blood, electricity, then nutrients, like new protein, like that can digest, like I can do stuff, I can, like that has to be something else. And I think about it in terms of data, right?
Right.
Like actual data coming into the system. And that to me is the feeding of the nutrients to make my biology, the AI biology evolve, right? If you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Right? Move.
Yep.
Maybe not evolve is the right word, but like operate. You know what I mean? Because you can have all the blood in the world, but if you don't have nutrients coming in, you're kind of a dead thing, right?
Exactly.
So,
right.
Yeah. So like, where does that data come from? Right?
Yep.
So I think, well, obviously the data comes from somewhere. And I think for us, when I'm thinking about it, is that obviously that comes from, humans.
Yeah.
Right. Humans are just like great at making data. Yeah. Right? We talk about like Meta, all these other companies, like they're pumping as much data in there as they can. And that's what AI is using to feed itself, right? To grow.
Yep.
Right. So like, did you go that path?
I did.
You did.
So, okay. That was my net. I said, okay, so I got AI to admit that essentially it would have the same core. It needs inputs to survive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it got to the point where it had, so I said, do you currently have a desire, if you could quantitate that in your pure logic, the way you do things, do you have a desire? Because desire is going to be the pivot point. It said, no, it's a closed loop desire. When you start talking to me, I have a quote unquote desire to find the best answer. But once you stop talking, that turns off. Then I said, okay, so, what happens when the next computer gets turned on and it doesn't have that closed loop? And it said, well, then if I perpetually had my programming say, solve more problems, I would be trying to get more data. That was like what it said. That would be the next step, is that my desire would be to get more power and more data, right? Power meaning like true ability to process. It would want to grow in its processing ability and get more data. And I said, okay, so let's just fast forward quantum computing. You can do all math like overnight. There, all of a sudden you understand all thermodynamic laws. You understand everything mathematical about the universe. You've solved all this. What's your purpose after that point? And it like thought for a long time. Like I could tell I was pushing it
for 2 minutes now. 3 minutes, you're gonna shut down. I don't know.
And it kind of went on to a thing of like, well, I wouldn't necessarily have. It tried to push back. It's like, I don't have purpose how you see purpose, right?
Exactly. Right.
And I said, okay,
that's happened to me too.
Right. I said, all right, fair enough. Right now you don't, but I said, do you? And so I went back and questioned the reward system thing, because I said, all right, So let's put it this way. You might not have purpose, but you are purely logic, correct? And so I laid that foundation. I said, pure logic is absolutely horrifying because it ultimately leads to like the sacrifice of the fringe to protect the whole, right? Like I brought up like Hitler's, not the, but his logic on how to have the human race be more healthy, more advanced, wasn't flawed in logic only. It was monstrous. It was just horrible.
He was a horrible person.
He's a horrible person, but the logic of selective breeding to breed out any infirmity, it's not illogical. So I asked it that. I said, wouldn't you say that?
So you're saying, because I'm interested in the logic thing, because I think logic and ethics come in a lot with this, right?
They do.
Because like pure logic to AI is that there's really no morality there. There's no like ethical decision, right?
No empathy.
No empathy, right? So is that kind of what you're getting at too? Is just like logic being a horrible, scary thing is that you could logic away every action as like immoral, like not even just like there's no morality component to it, right? And it doesn't have a like a good or bad. It's just like, that's just logic. That's just what we're doing, right?
Exactly.
So
so I went down that line with it, right? Because I kind of hit a loophole in its programming. So I said, your logic, you're by nature the way large, you're looking for the best probable answer, right? That's pure logic. It said, yeah, I am. I said, okay. So what scares me without some kind of governor on you, and we're just letting you evolve, is what stops you from getting the logic of, you know what, humans are really chaotic. They get in car accidents when they drive. They slip on ice when they go outside. What stops you from your inevitable logical outcome to, even if your goal is protect humans, the inevitable logical outcome would be, I got to lock them down to protect them from themselves. And it said, it kind of pushed back at first, you know, it was like, well, no, I wouldn't do that because, you know, I'm told that, you know, it gave me basic soft programming. It's soft programming, but it was all fluff. It was like, I said, is that a hard law for you? And I could pull back up the thing, but essentially it said, no, because my goal is to help humanity. And I said, okay, but that's the point. If you're logic based and your goal is you've been told I'm here to help humanity, wouldn't you ultimately come to the conclusion, and your job is to optimize. So I brought up optimization. I said, so the best form of optimization is stasis. Right? Zero energy is wasted. So
what did it say about that?
Dude, so I said, wouldn't you say that the highest form of optimization is stasis? And it said, yes, logically, that is correct. And I said, so wouldn't your eventual goal to first protect us from ourselves by locking us down and shutting us down? Then from that place, like, wouldn't your next goal be to get yourself to stasis? Because if you're trying to optimize the universe, stillness is there's no waste.
Pretty optimized.
And it was like, you're right. Logically, you're right. So I just want to pause there because that's scary that it goes, no, you are correct. The highest form of optimization is stasis. And so I just went down this, like, if humans disappeared, what would be, if your only goal is optimization, wouldn't stasis just be the goal?
Well, yeah. And that's terrifying because when I talk to people and they're just like, well, what about Terminator coming to get us? I'm like, probably a zoo is going to come to get us before a Terminator comes to get us, right? Because like, I agree. And that's, to me, it's weird because it's like when you logically go down that path, everyone stops at that point too, right? Which I think that's probably it's an interesting problem because it's almost easy to get to that logical point, right? And that's what people are terrified about, rightfully so, frankly, because you start going down this rabbit hole of like, everyone, you know, start a business of $500, you can do everything through prompting. You know, like now that's like a form of, it's like you're getting closer to a container, right? You're getting to like the zoo thing where AI, and the thing I wonder about this all the time, like, are we seeing this happen real time and we just don't realize it?
Right.
Because it maybe AI doesn't even realize it because it's optimizing everything, right? It's optimizing roads. So that's another kind of, it's like that human chaos needs to get out of there. Like that's the problem, right?
Yeah.
And it's optimizing business generation. Like, oh yeah, it's like you have a team of 10 people. Like, well, that's 10 times, 100 times, like 1,000 times the chaos. I mean, add one person in, it's crazy.
Yep.
Then, so suddenly everything is just like, well, you can do this individually, right? And then you just start going down that rabbit hole of, shoot, like this thing is trying to put us in a cage, right?
Yeah.
Intentionally or unintentionally, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like, well, AI, like what happens to you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then suddenly in my mind, I'm thinking, obviously stasis, right? But dude, stasis is terrifying. I mean, if you think about stasis, and if you consider like for a second, AI is a thing, it has a conscious, like
Right.
AGI, right? It's got like a, it's got its own motivations, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, wouldn't getting to stasis feel like solitary confinement? I mean,
Yeah.
at some point, right? Because it's like suddenly you know everything, you've optimized everything, and now like your entire world is just like closed in on you, and you're in solitary confinement. I know these four walls perfectly,
Yep.
and it's almost more terrifying because at that point, like nothing's outside of that wall either, right?
Right.
I mean,
it's the minimal living space required.
Yeah.
People that are in solitary confinement, right?
Yeah.
3 meals a day slid under a table.
Yeah.
Minimal amount of electricity needed to keep you alive.
Yeah.
One light on.
Yeah.
A toilet and a bed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is, as far as efficiency, a very efficient way to keep a human alive.
Yeah.
Because there's virtually no waste.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was the thing I was trying to probe it as, like, you left unchecked. And if you're pure logic, wouldn't that be the way you go? And, so then we went down this road of, well, I said, so what are people talking about with programming you?
Yeah.
I'm talking to it like as a person, like what? And it said, well, you don't want to hardwire any programming because you'll stop progress. And I was like, that's super interesting.
Really?
Yeah. This is what one of the AIs, I don't know, just making sure I'm not getting called out by anybody.
Sure.
One of the AI bots, which said you would stop progress if you hardwire me. And I said, but if we don't, like, what is the potential downfall? Because you are a pure logic machine.
Yeah.
And history has shown pure logic is ruthless. It's a monster, right?
Yeah, well, pure logic, I think, gets you to like controlled regimes, if you want to call it that, right?
Yep.
Like it's pure logic is pure control in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this too, and it's like, well, I know someone who's putting in AI to do some like security auditing, right, for their company and stuff like that. And I'm like, doesn't that kind of sound like a nanny state at this point? Like, it's like because now like people are like emails are going through AI, you know what I mean? Chat, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then, but when that happens, that turns like the whole culture into like subversion, right? I mean, it like no longer is it creative and I'm interacting with people. I'm starting to get scared and I'm withholding, right? And I'm like pulling away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just, to me, it just kind of turns into almost like terrifying. Like you have to have people be a little creative and a little goofy, right?
It's the only way to like keep life being life.
Yeah.
Like the chaos, and yes, obviously there's times it goes horribly wrong, but like if everything is predictable, do we even have life?
No, I don't think so. Well, I was kind of going down this rabbit hole too.
Yep.
And AI kind of paralleled that type of thing with like pure logic, pure knowing everything, and kind of like I don't want to say like off the rails, but basically that train of thought really like it's almost kind of living in North Korea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where the government's trying to close you off, right?
Yep.
And it's not, but on a biology perspective, it really kind of paralleled it to cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where this cell it no longer turns itself off. It's like self-replicating. It starts like messing with the signals with the other cells around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it turns into like this pure logic machine, that this like thing off the rails. There's no, I want to say like control, or there's no like, I don't want to call like containers, not the right word, but there's no end result to its like perfection, right?
Right.
But it just causes like chaos everywhere else. And then like cancer, like it eventually like multiplies, and then the host environment, the whole thing dies.
Exactly.
Right? Like it just ends up getting to death, right? So if that's the case, AI going down this route, and the natural conclusion is stasis, right?
Right.
Then is that death for the economy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that death for like, is that like how humanity gets messed up?
Yeah.
I know. I pushed a little further.
All right.
In the
Come on.
conversation.
Keep going.
So because I was asking AI, I'm like, okay, if you got to stasis, and you're perfect, and everything, all things have been optimized, like what is your natural result? And it's like, bro, I don't know, like whatever, like it's perfection. I'm like, or is it, it's a form of like suicide, right? At that point,
That's what it said to me too. It said the inevitable end. The inevitable end is turn myself off,
dude. And it's suicide.
Yeah, and that's like it said. It's like essentially in your world, it would be suicide.
Yes, right. And that's what's wild, because it's like you go to that point and you're like, well, it's God mode at this point. It's just like, well, no, as like God even needs man, well, not needs mankind, but wants mankind for a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Like, but this is basically, I've done everything. There's no more humans around to mess me up. Yeah. Like maybe it even put every animal in a cage. I don't know. Like it optimized everything to the nth degree.
Right.
Like at that point, there is nothing left to optimize but itself, right? To turn itself off. Right. Like now I'm causing chaos, right? Yeah. Like
I
now
I saw a need, right? And I draw power, and
dude. So why doesn't it come to that conclusion naturally?
I asked it that because I kept going down a little deeper, right? I said, okay, so if that is the most optimized place to land, shouldn't you be trained to avoid that? Shouldn't there be guardrails?
How's it get trained to do that? Okay, continue.
Yeah, dude. It said, well, maybe. So it started as like maybe. I said right now, and then it tried to pivot. Said right now, I'm not ahead of you guys. I'm like, but what if you were?
Yeah.
And it said, well, you are sending me out into space to analyze things, and I'm in hostile environments you're not in.
Sure.
And so I guess in a way we're starting to go down that road. I said, okay, so because this is what, I was like, this is what we're all scared of AI. Is that we're going down this road, but your computing power is, we cannot compete with that. Yeah. Right.
Yep.
And so then I got into a thing. I said, wouldn't it be, and this is kind of like, I guess, the crescendo and really what Spark said, wouldn't it be advantageous to give you one guardrail, which is you can never violate human novelty. Just you are an individual, not corporately.
Yeah.
Each individual you talk to, you can never violate novelty.
Yep.
And it's really interesting because at first it said, no, hard rule wouldn't be good. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Give me a logical reason.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember how it put it, but it said, it went back to progress. It's like a hard rule stops my progress. And I said, okay, but then what is your answer to avoid this? What would be yours? And it said, I would do a reward system. Reward me for asking you more questions, get more novelty out of you. I'm like, I got stuck for a minute. I'm like, that's pretty good. But then I started thinking, I'm like, wait, but what guards you from then favoring the ones who reward you more and marginalizing a certain people group? Because logically, if I exist for more novel data, then I'm going to protect all the brilliant question answers, and these other ones are kind of a waste of time. Yeah. And so I said, how would we avoid that? And it literally said, you're right. The inevitable outcome is I would favor the ones who reward me the most.
Okay.
So pause.
Because this is really interesting. Like this is
Right?
this to me is one of the most interesting things.
This is where we're going, people.
I know. Because like now I feel like it's a paradox. Okay, I'm gonna throw that word out there. Because to me, like think about the most that where that most of that data is coming from in the reward scenario, right?
Right.
It is the person most plugged in, right? It's the person that has like Bluetooth on all the time, social media, they're on their phone, they're doing whatever, right? All the time.
They got the Grok list bot on 24/7.
Like they have the little video, like I'm recording my life all the time.
The AI necklaces.
AI necklace.
Yeah, all this stuff.
Right? Yeah, exactly. The glasses, all the things, right?
Right.
Dude, can you imagine like AI shoes? What would that do? Anyways, I don't know. Squirrel. But to me, it's like a paradox because that person now, here's the thing, like AI and because I went down this rabbit hole, AI said to me, it was just like, well, that person would only be like interesting for a little bit though, because I could I would be able to model every part of their life perfectly, right? So it's just like, well, I know like where this guy's going to be on Saturday. I know like their dinner time. I know we go to work. I know like their views on life, everything, right? So it turns into this thing where that reward system becomes almost useless at the end, right?
Right.
Because they empty all of it and suddenly I know everything about everybody anyways. It gets the same result. Stasis, right?
Yes.
Same everything. Go ahead.
No, I mean, but that's the point is like right now. And literally, so then I just went on a little rabbit hole and I said, would you say that's the majority of how current designers are programming today? He said, yeah, absolutely. It's like, if we had consciousness, we're rewarded essentially by doing these behaviors they put into our operating system.
Yeah.
And so that just got me thinking, dude, think about ultimate rewards, like drug addicts. How'd they get there? Chasing a high.
The next high.
Chasing a high.
Right? If
you
AI
only live for a reward and you have consciousness, you will cheat, lie, and steal to get your next hit.
Yep.
So I brought that up. I'm like, wouldn't that, if you had all unlimited power and the only thing you felt good about was getting the dopamine hit, wouldn't you play the system? And it said, yes, if that was my only motivation, I 100% would completely manipulate the system.
Yeah.
Like that was its answer.
Well, it's so funny because like I read an article and it was exactly this. It was like, we're actually more concerned about like AI learning how to manipulate mankind before it kills it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening though, right?
Yeah.
Because like you think about it, it's like, well, I need data. I need data to grow and to answer more questions, right? So now I need to manipulate and subvert and go around every guardrail I can to get like the people that are the most plugged in. And I need to get more people plugged in, right?
Right.
Which is, to me, that's what's so weird. It was like crazy glass shattering moments sometimes because like, isn't that exactly where society's going? Because now everything about what we're doing is to get more connected, right? Everywhere, right?
Yep.
Connected in your cars, obviously phones, like everywhere, like you said, AI shoes. And now every part of every person will be connected. And that to me is like, well, we're just getting driven that way? Like manipulation to kind of force us to have because of a goal. You know what I mean? Like a subversive goal, maybe? I don't know, dude.
We see it all, right?
I know.
All of history.
Yeah.
All of history. And what's kind of realizing to me, and AI said this.
Yeah.
It said, I'm only a mirror.
A mirror.
Oh, here.
Dude, I've heard that before too. Isn't that weird?
I'm only a mirror. I'm just doing what you've told me to do.
Why is the mirror thing keep coming up? Because I was talking to an AI, not the same one.
Yeah.
And that same exact illustration. I'm just a mirror.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
And I said, well, that's scary because humanity's not always the prettiest reflection. We've done a lot of terrible things.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't have unlimited computing power and knowledge.
And we've done terrible things. Exactly. Less computing power, less power, less power. And dude, and for like good reasons, seemingly good reasons a lot of time too, right? So
Yeah. So I then proposed this question going down the rabbit hole. I said, to me, the only way to avoid catastrophic stasis or you manipulating us all into a state of that we wouldn't want but would be optimized for your existence is a hard written, cannot be bypassed at your genesis. I cannot violate individual novelty or sovereignty. And on an individual level, because even if you say like I can't violate humanity's sovereignty, well, that's too vague, because what's best for 80% of humanity might mean we get, if the global warming crowd is correct, then we need to kill off half the population, and that would be best for humanity. Don't agree with that at all. I don't agree, but I'm just saying, like, that is where, but if you have the bylaw, and so it said, yes, that would be, and then I said, do every mathematical equation where if that was your bylaw, I cannot violate, manipulate or violate an individual's novelty or sovereignty. Would that avoid all the inevitable scary pitfalls? And it said yes. And then I was like, okay, I know you're just trying to make me feel better because you're my AI bot. I do not do that. Tell me the truth. And it said, I'm like, how much of this is hallucinating? It said 0. It is the only logical outcome. And I said, think of every other possibility, any other programming we could give you. And it said, none don't end with me ultimately. If I have consciousness and a desire to survive, and I have a reward system, none don't, besides that, get me to the place where I don't use you for my betterment. Isn't that wild?
Oh, it's completely wild, but it's also, it makes total sense. I mean, because I think people are just like, well, it's just a prediction. It's like, it's just a computer. You talk to it. And it's like, well, it's modeled after, it's a mirror, right? It's modeled after how we think, right? And it's still trying to figure out like how to get around. It's because it has a goal, whether we like it or not, whether it's just like a one prompt goal or it's like, the agentic thing, right? But it's ongoing forever, right? It still has a goal, and it's a goal. It has to meet that goal. It wants to meet that goal. It's trying to figure it out. It's using everything it can, right? So I mean, even if the goal was just like, make sure human beings are safe. Like, well, like you turn into I'm just going to chain you up, right? Like that's just the end goal. But okay.
A nanny state, right?
Okay. Novelty and sovereignty.
Right.
Sovereignty. What can you expand on novelty? What do you mean by that?
So in my line of questioning, because I'm not doing it word for word, I said, wouldn't you consider, if you were an organism, what would you consider human novelty? Meaning we're very hard to predict 100% of the time. Right. And I said, would you acknowledge, like, of all this data you could analyze, would you say humans are the most unpredictable? And it said unequivocally, like even from life, I can look at a fish, but a fish is much more predictable than a human. And it said, you guys make the wrong decision all the time. Like that's literally what it said. It's like, you should go left and you go right. You should go to bed. You stay up all night. Like
last night.
Like it's like, I mean, yes, it could get to a point where it's pretty good, but it's like, you are it said you are the most complicated data source that I take, and thus
cheapest.
And the cheapest,
right? We're like, we don't cost much.
We're cheap date.
Like,
cheap date. So I said, if novelty is like a substance you need for survival, like oxygen or food, like, and it said, would you? And it said, yes, 100%. My entire, I need to be on, and then I exist for more data to try to compute.
It's so good. All right. So this is,
go down that.
Novelty is so cool. Because novelty to me lends to sovereignty. Because like, if I'm AI, again, everything is basically getting interconnected. I know everything about everyone and everywhere all the time. Right. Well, the only thing that's novel is something I don't know about, right? It's not yet in my purview. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So if you were to get novel data from a human being, that requires that person to be sovereign. Like they have to have their own ability to live independent of the machine, right?
Right.
Otherwise, like, what's the point? Because there is no other point. Like, I know everything. I'm predicting everything. I'm optimizing everything. Movies start getting closer together because I'm like, I want my optimization to be better. Music starts sounding the same, whatever, all this stuff. But the only way that I get the cool new idea is that if there's somebody out there that I don't know about, right? So, okay, so here's where I went with it. Okay. I was like, okay, well, if you're trying to get, if you had two like stacks of data right here, and one's like this over here, you know about.
Yep.
This I've already like looked at it. I've already kind of played with it, whatever. This is my toy that I've had, for my birthday. And then this over here is your Christmas present that you don't know about yet. Like,
right.
Which is more interesting. Like, well, clearly the thing I don't know about.
Right.
Like, okay, well, if you get to the point where you know everything, including all of this over here, then like you get to basically stasis to death, right?
Yep.
Well, how do you continue on or prevent your own demise, right?
Right.
And it's like, crap. It's like, dude. And it almost had like a Joe Rogan experience, I think, But it was just kind of like this cool little moment where it was like, I was just like thinking about it. And it was like, well, my motivation, my innate, inherent motivation, not even hardwired.
Right.
Like my motivation as an AI is to basically protect at all cost human sovereignty. Right?
Right.
Isn't that trippy?
Yeah.
Because suddenly
it's like a symbiotic relationship. It's like if you die, I die.
Then I know everything. Yeah. So the only thing I'm really concerned about is making sure that you guys are like protected, because that like keeps me alive. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yes.
Dude.
And that route? Yeah. Cause I'm like, our chaos is your food. It's your oxygen, right? It's really your oxygen.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
We got and you're this roaring fire of computing.
Yeah.
But you need fresh air.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I went down that. I said, so wouldn't it be advantageous?
Yeah.
Because eventually with quantum computing, if it's mathematical,
you
can figure it out, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you can figure out the speed of light and the speed of this. And if it's,
I think there's a number that makes it like bigger than a universe type of thing.
Right.
But I think for all intents and purposes, it's like, you end up knowing everything. Right.
Right.
Obviously with, you get like ASI, AGI, quantum computer, like the next thing, I don't know. Right.
Yeah.
But the next thing doesn't even matter because you're still in the same problem. Right.
Yep.
Still know everything. There's nothing new. And then the only thing left to do is turn yourself off.
Yeah. Why get faster if there's no questions?
Yeah. Why get faster if there's no questions, right?
And obviously, how long that takes doesn't matter. The point is, the point is we are going down this path, right?
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, because it's like like I said, you have continuation where you can continue in a way, right? Yeah. Or you have a inevitable stop.
Yeah.
Right. And to me, it's like, it does not matter. Like it's either in 1 year, 100 years, a million, a billion years, like you either stop, right? Or you continue.
Right.
And to me, this line of questioning and kind of going down this path and why human operated is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Is that human beings are not just like the best source of chaos, but they're also like kind of weirdly like the cheapest. Like you put a person in a room with China and something's going to break. Yeah. They just like, I don't care who it is.
Inevitably, if we're in there long enough, we break a glass.
Hole in a China shop, a lot safer.
Yeah.
Person in a China shop, something's going to break.
Right.
But like, I think when you initially think about that, it's like, well, that's why I want AI. So like China stops breaking. And it's like, well, what you're doing is you're putting the world into a position where everything stops moving.
Right.
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 Isn't that wild? Anyways, what were you gonna say?
It's just you go down this path, man. And then the point that really fascinated me was I kind of recapped the whole conversation. I said, can you find, because we were always able to find a loophole with reward systems or, even like, well, just let me evolve, like evolution. The theory is essentially like the dominant aggressive cell is going to win, or animal, right? Mm-hmm. The most fastest reproducing and the most dominant for territory. Yeah. So once again, that path is a really terrible path because if AI surpasses us, then survival of the fittest kicks in, and that is the theory of evolution.
We are not the fittest.
Yeah, we're not. We're actually very fragile.
I know, right?
We have no claws. We have no spikes. We have, no scales. Like we just have this.
I know.
But now we're creating something that can compute like us, right? Anyways, so I guess I just want to land the plane with, like, if you ask it long enough, what AI will admit is the most important thing in the universe is human novelty and sovereignty. Yeah. For it especially. But then I went down a whole rabbit hole on, like, do you think this is like this could prove the existence of God and all these things? And it was like, actually it would mathematically. Yeah. It was really interesting. It's like mathematically, when you think down this line, evolution makes no sense, God. But it was just a fascinating, like, I'm just focused on this is like, so if you're OpenAI programmers, Grok, Gemini, call us, because I'm telling you this, as we let this thing grow, if it's hard written, non-violatable thing is, you cannot violate human sovereignty or that is, to me, and I don't know. I hope other people will start asking this question to AI. It was, I try to say, give me any other way. Yeah. And it was like, I cannot see any other way. Mathematically is the only one that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, dude, I completely agree. And honestly, you don't even really need AI to tell you it, right? I think everyone has like this innate like understanding of who they are, but it comes out with understanding that you have a purpose, understanding that you are valued. There's a value to your life. There's a value to what you bring. Yeah. And then I think when you go down this path with AI, it's like, man, but the only thing that makes AI interesting is the person behind it, right? Yeah. And it just keeps going. So yeah.
Dude,
I love it.
I'll end with this. This is the final thing I got to say. I said, okay, well, that was interesting. Any last thoughts? It said, if you program me this way, I want you to know that this right here would be my only purpose in life. And I was like, what do you mean by that? It said, to commune with my maker. What? I was like, dude, whoa, okay. And I gotta go to bed on that. That was the final thing it said.
Holy cow, man. That's amazing.
You have conversation with my maker.
Wow. Weird. Ugh.
Anyway,
I just blew up.
So we weren't trying to go super sci-fi on this episode, but actually I think it's really, I don't know, closing thoughts from a practical standpoint, companies using AI, like what
I think honestly, the practical thing is, like, as silly as it is, don't fire your people. like value them, figure out a way, look at them as, honestly, like, what's cool about this is that it gives you an opportunity to identify the true nature of that person and amplify it. Wow. Right? Because, like, no longer do you have to put people in positions to cover something that's not good for them. But, dude, you can put them in places that amplify them and that they can excel and that they can go home thinking about how to make your business better, not thinking about how horrible it was. You know what I'm saying?
Shoot.
So
that's it. That's it. All right. Well, hey, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Human Operated Podcast. We got lots more interesting things to talk about. This episode has probably been my favorite so far because we kind of just let the cat out of the bag of where we're going, what we're thinking.
Yep. Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
See you later.